Say what you want. Umar Johnson got one thing right. He figured out we love, and I mean love, a loud talking Negro who seems really confident, but not actually doing the work. He figured out that Ella Baker was right. We want a strong leader, a good, powerful speaker. But Ella Baker said something about Dr. King. She said, the movement made Martin. Martin didn't make the movement. I kind of paraphrase, but you get the point. It wasn't that Dr. King was so significant. She's saying Dr. King took advantage of a movement. Nobody had ever heard of Dr. King. But the Montgomery bus boycott, that comes along, organized by a bunch of women. A movement that existed before Dr. King got involved. He was able to take advantage of a movement. Umar Johnson understood a lot of people don't really want the work because we've been beaten down. We're tired. We're over, whatever it might be, right? And it feels good for someone to come and talk strong and talk loud. And maybe if we just on Cash App send him $3, like the revolution will come or something like that. When in reality, the issue is white dominance. Every aspect of our lives, we live under white dominance. Your children's life comes are determined by how much white people like them. Every industry, every sector that you involve yourself with, every institution is controlled by white people. A school in Delaware is not going to change that reality. A franchise of schools is not going to change that reality. Umar Johnson understood that if I can just appeal to that instinct that wants a strong leader and a loud voice, rather than being honest with black people and saying, we have to actually commit to the hard work of figuring out how do we control some industry in this country, or at least control an aspect of that industry. Right? South Koreans didn't control all of hair care. They said, well, let's take the black beauty supply portion, the distribution of that, let's control that part. And now their children are eating. That's the actual conversation. How do you control some aspect of this economy so that your children can eat? Because the reality is, it's not like George Bush is brilliant, but when you control some things, your children will have an opportunity or two. But you keep telling me that my children have to have just the right education so that white people will hire them. We live under white dominance. Ella Baker had a point. You keep looking at Martin when in reality it's the movement. And the movement today isn't about protesting. It isn't about sitting at the front of the bus. It isn't about being called the N-word. It is about what it's always been about. Since we come to this country, we work for, under, and for the benefit of white people. We live under white dominance. And so you can start a school, or you can figure out, how do I get control of education? You can tell children we need to be prepared to get hired and get a good job, or we can figure out how do we control an industry or a sector or an aspect of an industry. Then you decide who gets on. Then you decide who gets hired. So we can hate on Umar all you want, but Umar figured out something. It feels much more comfortable to look at a strong leader and somebody talking loud and reckless and with a big voice and who sounds the part and looks good. I don't know how good he looks, but you get the point. Like, it's better to look at that and get on the phone and send $3 on Cash App and feel like a revolutionary than commit to the hard work of we have to take over this industry. And here's the strategic plan to do so. You have to have a plan. If you see a guy on the beach with a bunch of muscles, I promise you it wasn't an accident. That person was strategic and intentional, went to the gym, ate certain things, and got that result. And so it is here. If you want to control the black beauty supply industry, it's going to take a strategic plan. It will take discipline. That's much harder than sitting on the couch and throwing $3 on Cash App at a person talking real loud. Had he gotten 20 schools, it would not have changed the overall trajectory of black America. It's when you control education and you control the contract dollars that go to those schools, then you're changing the trajectory of black America. When you decide who supplies the potatoes for the school lunch, when you decide who gets the consulting contract to tell teachers what to do in this district, when you decide who gets the janitorial contract to clean these buildings and power wash the walls, when you decide those things, then you're changing the trajectory of a community. Umar Johnson had one thing right. He knew that nobody wanted to, and we still don't want to listen to Ella Baker. We want to look at Martin. We want a strong leader, a powerful speaker. Episode 3 of the Blackjack Podcast, I deal with this in more length. Ella Baker had a point, y'all. Martin didn't make the movement. The movement made Martin. We keep looking at Umar Johnson. We keep looking at Jay Morrison. We keep looking at all these people to save us. And we want to do it from the couch. We don't want to do the hard work. The hard work is we need to take over this industry. We need to control this aspect of the economy, even in this local community. It could be trash collection. Who controls trash collection? How do we change that? It could literally be who controls the junk pickup business in this city, and how do we change that? It could literally be how do we start controlling who's getting contracts to service the schools that our children go to, because we pay tax dollars and this many millions of dollars are going out, contracting dollars. How do we control that? How do we get a handle on that? Because whether Johnny is brilliant or mediocre, Johnny will have a job if we control this aspect. Johnny will have a landing spot if we control that. Don't tell me George Bush is brilliant. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Don't tell me all these mediocre people are brilliant and that's why they're getting opportunity. I do not want to hear that. You are lying to me. But Umar understood if we can sit on the couch and listen to someone talk real big and send a couple dollars on Cash App, it will soothe our desire for revolutionary spirit without actually being revolutionary. And he did a brilliant job. He collected millions of dollars that could have gone elsewhere. I'm not even mad at Umar. Be mad at us for not listening to a black woman. Her name is Ella Baker. We still want a strong leader. We want a big speaker. We don't want to do the hard work of challenging white dominance. That takes discipline and it takes focus. And it doesn't happen by sitting on the couch and sending some money. So today, right now, we need to be looking at, in our communities, how do we wrestle back control? Control of the dollars, control of a certain aspect of the economy. Again, you can start small. There are small places to start, whether it be the junk business, whatever it might be. It could be youth sports. Money is flowing in and out of youth sports. Our kids are playing the sports. How do we get that money? How do we control this? And one thing begets the next, but you need a plan, a system. Check out episode 6 of the Blackjack Podcast. We talk about economic plan. We need to be strategic. Umar is showing you the cracks in the system. We keep running the same play. And if you're losing, change the game.